Liverpool 3, Burnley 1. That's how it finished at Anfield this afternoon in what was a must-win game for Liverpool. They bounced back with a win, but God, did Burnley make them work for it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, today's video is centering around the match reaction to Liverpool's 3-1 victory against Burnley. A victory for Jurgen Klopp's side. A bounce back from obviously last week's poor performance and poor result against Arsenal. Liverpool are back with a win, and of course with Manchester City winning earlier today, it was even more so of a must-win game to keep the pressure on and to obviously retake the lead at the top of the table. Big result by Jurgen Klopp's side, but Burnley did make them work for it, and work for it they absolutely did. We're going to be talking about the game, we're going to be talking about the result and the aftermath and everything else in between. But before we go any further, we'd like to remind you, please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and thoroughly greatly appreciated. We'll also appreciate any thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings about the game, about the result, about the performance, about Liverpool, about Burnley, about the Premier League title race, whatever it may be, down below in the comment section, because I'm sure all of those things will make for great and interesting reading. So do get involved down there. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk about Liverpool's big 3-1 win over Burnley, thanks to goals from Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez, of course. All three of our attackers were on the score sheet today. All three scored headers as well, which was incredible to watch as well. But there were certain things to look at and that could be improved upon. Was it a performance for the ages? Absolutely not. This wasn't great at all, and we were expecting some sort of response and some sort of reaction from obviously last week's extremely poor loss against Arsenal. The result wasn't great. The performance was absolutely dreadful. So we're expecting a performance and a response to that. And I think as being at home, we were quite confident. Not only were we facing one of the relegation candidates, but we were facing a side that was obviously, for the most part, poor this season. And it was probably one of the more favourable games we could have asked for coming into this game off the back of a defeat and a performance like what we did last weekend. So everything seemed good enough right off the bat for us to redeem ourselves. But we had to work for it, because Burnley did pose plenty of food for thought. They had plenty of opportunities that Kelleher had to be on hand to deny. There were a couple of opportunities that Burnley created, which showed the kind of fragilities and somewhat sort of soft spots in our defensive structure. I think it obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't look comfortable out there for starters. Kwanzaa was obviously back in the mix for the suspended Konate, of course. Robertson is still finding his feet since returning back from injury. Endo's just returned back from the Asian Cup. So there's a lot of different factors there, and they're not excuses at all for why Liverpool weren't so great. They're just obviously factors and reasons as to why Liverpool maybe didn't look as strong as what we had been in recent weeks and things on that nature. But the main point was we got the result. The main thing about this game was that we got the result, and we got the result that we needed. By hook or by crook, Liverpool got the result, and sometimes, like I keep saying, in these types of fixtures, you just need to get by. Manchester City earlier weren't great against Everton, but they had the key moments when they mattered most. They had the quality when it mattered most, and obviously having an absolute robot up front obviously helps with that. But they managed to get the job done when it mattered most, despite not being so great themselves. Liverpool in this game, I thought there were moments where they were very, very good during the game and really turning the screw a little bit. But there were also moments where you could see that if Burnley had better quality in key areas, maybe they could have put Liverpool more to the sword. We saw that time and time again in this game. But again, it was just the quality of finishing, because the quality of finishing was that Liverpool had it and Burnley didn't. I thought the substitution of Harvey Elliott just after half time, albeit forced, was a brilliant stroke of good fortune for Liverpool. Harvey Elliott came on and was brilliant in this game, and of course was showed for it by the 2 assists that he got. I thought he was a real standout performer. A couple of other standout performers. Darwin Núñez was a constant thorn in the side of the opposition. Diogo Jota obviously took his goal very well. Diaz was just constantly making a nuisance of himself. I thought there were some aspects to actually be applauded, but defensively wise, it did look like we were a bit casual, a bit fragile. I don't obviously think the illnesses helped, the likes of Joe Gomez, of course, and Alisson, which obviously ruled them out of the game right off the bat. Trent Alexander-Arnold's injury as well in the second half, or potential precaution injury they're calling it, was obviously a big overlooming shadow on this game and a big hindrance to Liverpool. Fingers crossed it's nothing majorly serious, and it is something that is obviously going to be worked on and looked after. And you know, obviously our backup right back right now, Connor Bradley, is still away with family, with personal reasons and family reasons, of course. So fingers crossed everything's okay for him. I think Klopp said we may get him back at some point over the next week or so. So fingers crossed everything's okay with him. And obviously on a footballing basis, he may return to action if obviously they see fit and he sees fit to do so. Like I say, it was just about getting the result, and that is exactly what we got. The performance, like I say, there were certain performances where they were okay, certain performances that were good, certain performances that were, you know, somewhat left to be desired a little bit. But overall, I thought that, you know, Liverpool were deserving of the victory. They got the victory, and it was the quality of finishing that really was the difference maker on the day. And Liverpool really needed to obviously get those 3 points to obviously counter what City did earlier on in the day, and to obviously redeem themselves for what occurred last week at the Emirates against Arsenal. Diogo Jota gets the opening goal. He gets the ball rolling. Brilliant, well-taken header from a corner. Trafford comes out. He doesn't get anywhere near the ball, and Jota's on hand to head home. Then you're thinking, right, well, this is going to be a riot now, because the floodgates are going to open. Liverpool are going to absolutely destroy Burnley, and it wasn't necessarily the case. They had a few opportunities. Burnley had a few opportunities either side of the goal, of course, to keep things interesting and fresh. But Liverpool had a couple of opportunities themselves, but they just really couldn't find the back of the net. And then things got worse when, again, somewhat from a corner, Burnley strike. And we have seen a few times this season opposition teams strike from set pieces. It's a bit of a soft spot. We seem to be too casual in defending, and we're not picking up the runners, and we're not going with the man, and we seem to be a bit ball watching at times. Common threads in that particular goal was seen last week, and they were seen a few weeks prior. I've talked about how Liverpool have been great for the past several weeks before, obviously, that Arsenal game. But there were slight issues at the time where you could see that there were things that needed to be worked on, and so far I've not really seen much improvement, if any, in that particular aspect. And like I say, it just seemed to be the case with obviously the goal for Burnley coming when it did. And of course it happened just before half time, which is arguably one of, I mean, it's never a good time to concede a goal, but on the stroke of half time, it's a horrible time to obviously concede a goal in the manner that we did, in the way that we did, and obviously with the scenario being 1-1 going into the interval. Second half, obviously, we were forced into a change. Harvey Elliott comes on and the game completely changes from there. Elliott, fantastic. He sets up the next 2 goals. He sets up Luis Diaz. His deflected cross is headed home by the Colombian winger. Diaz gets a goal to his name. He adds to his tally in his total this season, and it capped his performance off with a very well taken goal, making that run across the 6-yard area, scoring from close range, really gambling on the ball being delivered into that particular area. I thought it was a well taken goal. Again, after more heroics from Kelleher, and in a way that you know, Burnley should have actually drew level at least during that time period, because not only did Kelleher was forced into a very good stop, he was also rather fortuitous in the way that the follow-up attempt was somewhat shanked wide by the Burnley attacker. Name escapes me. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. With all due respect, I've forgotten his name. My bad. I don't remember which attacker it was. I think it was Andoni, I want to say. Something like that. Something along those lines. He slices his shot wide. Really should have done better. And again, it's another example of the way that the finishing and the quality of finishing was the difference maker on the day between the two sides. Because Burnley, I said it for a lot this season. Burnley I said it in the prediction that this isn't a foregone conclusion, even though it's at Anfield, even though Liverpool are at home, even though Liverpool should be winning this game anyway. Burnley will cause Liverpool some food for thought. And I've been saying for a large part of this season that Burnley do play some decent football. They just struggle when it comes to putting the ball in the back of the net and not leaking stupid goals. They actually play some good stuff. They just don't have the quality in the areas that it matters most to obviously influence games in terms of stopping conceding and going on to score your own goals. That is where Burnley lack the most. And if obviously the quality had been better on Burnley's side, we could be looking at a different scoreline here and a different scenario altogether. But that was, again, a big example of why Liverpool's finishing was superior to Burnley's, as you would expect. Burnley had a couple more chances, and then Liverpool killed the game off. Darwin Núñez, like I say, a constant thorn in the side of the Burnley defence throughout the entirety of the game. I think, again, he had another few opportunities before and after the goal, actually, to add to his tally and to add to Liverpool's tally for the afternoon. But again, he doesn't like taking the easy ones, does he? He likes to have the ones that are a little bit more difficult to add to his goal tally. He scores. Harvey Elliott's assist again. Lovely cross into the area. Finds Darwin Núñez, and it's a very, very good header to put it out the reach of Trafford and find the back of the net. A brilliant, well-taken goal by Darwin Núñez adds to his tally for the season. I think he's equalled his Premier League goal-scoring tally for last season, and he's on a bit of a run right now. He's on a bit of a good goal contributions run in all competitions. So fair play to Darwin Núñez. Like I say, if he can just get a bit more consistent and he can start adding more consistency to his game in terms of his goal scoring output, we have got one hell of a monster on our side. We have got one hell of a goal scoring beast on our side. If he can just work on that composure element, because there were a couple of opportunities before the goal, and like I said, there were a couple of opportunities after the goal in which Núñez really should have probably added to his tally for the afternoon, but failed to do so in this fixture. So big up Darwin Núñez, big up Harvey Elliott, massive game from him, another impact sub. And I know that people don't like to use that kind of term. No one wants to be really known as an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sort of impact sub. They want to obviously influence games from the start, but again, it really shows the sort of in-game management of not just the manager, but even though obviously he was forced into the change, but again by the players to work out the weaknesses and to work out where to go and things, because there was no doubt about it. Elliott's introduction into this team really energised the team and really sparked Liverpool in the second half to be better than what they were in the first half. Like I say, Burnley posed some very good, played some very good football at times, and they posed some very tough questions with Liverpool, but it was the quality of finishing. That term of phrase, yet again, that was ultimately the difference on the day between these two sides. And like I say, it's a must-win game for Liverpool, because Liverpool obviously needed to respond to last week. in their defeat to Arsenal. They needed to respond to Manchester City, who, like I say earlier today, weren't entirely convincing by any stretch of the imagination, but managed to get the job done when it mattered most. And of course, they need to send a message to Arsenal that, yeah, you got the better of us last week, but we're obviously still top of the table. We're still obviously above you lot, and you need to then go and do your job tomorrow when the Gunners take on West Ham in what should be a very intriguing and interesting game. One game that normally West Ham, no matter the kind of form that they play, normally turn up for and normally give a lot of food for thought for the Gunners. So it could be a very intriguing game tomorrow, one that I definitely will be checking out regardless. So interested in all of that. Like I say, big game from Liverpool today, big result from the Reds. Jurgen Klopp's side move back to being top of the table. They restore their place at the top of the top flight division of English football following a 3-1 win over Burnley. Like I say, big up to Darwin Núñez, big up to Luis Diaz, big up to Harvey Elliott, big up to Kelleher as well, being thrown in there. I assume somewhat last minute due to illness of Alisson. Like I say, again, I don't think there was much he could have done about the goal. It was a very, very well taken goal. I don't think I've actually talked about the goal in enough detail from Burnley, but it was a very, very well taken goal from Burnley. It's really exposed Liverpool's weakness in defending set pieces and, like I say, tracking runners and not ball watching. So it really exposed the weaknesses of Liverpool from that kind of area that Liverpool obviously will need to improve upon and work upon. And it was a very well taken headed goal. That was a real bullet into the back of the net. So fair play to Burnley for the goal. Fair play to Burnley for the way that they played. They didn't sit back and hope for the best. They actually went out and tried to attack Liverpool. Like I say, it was just the quality in the final third that was the difference. Liverpool just had it and Burnley did not. And that's what I've been saying a lot all season. As I'll reiterate again this point, Burnley play some good stuff under Vincent Kompany. It's just they don't have the quality when it matters most to obviously get the points on the board, to obviously get the wins that they need, to obviously get what they want from those particular games. And yeah, that's all I've got to say on the matter in terms of from Burnley's perspective. But from Liverpool's perspective, look, wasn't a performance for the ages. We're not going to be talking about this for years to come. It's not one of the great performances under Jurgen Klopp, but there were moments there were signs there that Liverpool, after what was a tough week last week, got back and redeemed themselves in some way, shape or form. And most importantly, they got the 3 points. That is all that they needed. 3 points. And they got that with aplomb. So, fantastic result by Liverpool. They go back top of the table. Brilliant result. Super happy about it. And those are, of course, all of the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it of this guy. I don't know what you guys think. What do you make of everything that I talked about in this video? What do you make of Liverpool? What do you make of Burnley? What do you make of the game itself? What do you make of the Premier League title race? All of that good stuff will make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure, down below. So please do get involved. I'm sure it'll make for great and interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another instant match reaction to Liverpool's brilliant 3-1 victory over Burnley. I say brilliant for result-wise, not necessarily for performance, but there you have it. We got the 3 points, and that's all that matters in this particular scenario. Great result. We move on. Brentford next week. Let's go, Reds. Let's go, Redmen. Let's go indeed. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Have a good rest of your night. Speak to you all again very, very soon.